My neighbor, Mrs. Francesco, heard him at a club in the city. Vulgar, unamusing, and all around offensive were the words she used. As if that wasn't bad enough, he was even worse the second night. Mrs. Brownville blew a plume of smoke into my face. I gave her my best professional smile, but it wasn't easy. She was so offended she went a second time? They were taken by friends. Please keep up, dear. One doesn't refuse the hospitality of friends. Another plume of smoke lunged toward me. I tried not to cough at the same time I struggled to keep my smile fixed to my face. Mr. and Mrs. Brownville were here for 4 weeks. They'd taken one of the best lakefront cabins in order to have room for a rotating roster of visiting friends and relations. At Haggerman's Catskillsresort, we were not so flush with high-paying guests I could afford to offend one. "Don't just stand there gaping, girl. What are you going to do about it?" Mrs. Brownville was in her 60s, and she was a woman not to be trifled with. Approaching 6 feet tall, broad-chested, broad-shouldered, midnight black hair sprayed into an unmovable object, small, dark, intense eyes. She wore a powder-blue wool suit over a blue blouse with a floppy bow tied at the neck, and blue shoes with kitten heels. Not what most people would consider appropriate attire for a hot summer's day in the Catskills, but I'd never seen her in anything but a designer suit of one shade of pastel or another. I glanced around, seeking escape. To my dismay, none was forthcoming. "Elizabeth Grady, are you listening to me, or must I speak to your mother?" "No need to bother Olivia, ma'am," I said. "She trusts me to make decisions regarding the running of Haggerman's." I cleared my throat. "I'll have a chat with our entertainment director and with Mr. Simmons himself to ensure he's fully aware that at Haggerman's Catskillsresort we're proud of our family-friendly reputation." We didn't actually employ an entertainment director, but I decided not to mention that the task of hiring entertainers, along with so many others, largely fell to me. "You do that. I will, of course, be in the audience to be sure that his entire act is acceptable for young people and ladies." Not a good idea. Charlie Simmons was a rapidly rising comedian in the smoke-filled clubs of New York City and in the equally smoke-filled lounges of the Catskills, precisely because he was, supposedly, cutting-edge and risque. New York City comedians weren't normally hired as children's entertainers, or to pass muster by the likes of Mrs. Brownville, always on the lookout for something to be offended about. I shifted from one foot to the other. Mrs. Brownville had waylaid me on the lakefront path at midday. The hot sun beamed down, the air almost dripped with humidity, and I was dressed in work attire of stockings and a girdle under a blue and yellow print dress that fell slightly below my knees, with a Peter Pan collar and long sleeves. I thought fondly of the pretty sundress I hadn't had a chance to wear yet. Too informal for a professional woman on a working day. My mother sniffed when she suggested, ordered, that I change. "I have to point out, Mrs. Brownville," I said, "that Mr. Simmons will be doing 2 shows each day for the 3 days he's engaged to be at Haggerman's. A family-friendly performance at 9 and a more adult-oriented one at 11, following the dessert buffet." Surely Mrs. Brownville would be long abed by 11. A day spent finding fault with everything and everyone had to be exhausting. "Adults," she pronounced, "also need to be protected from filth. I will attend both shows this evening. Now, about the other matter I wanted to discuss with you." She dropped the end of her cigarette onto the path and rummaged in her cavernous handbag for the pack. Attempting to be discreet, I moved my right foot and ground out the still-lit end before it could set the whole place on fire. I checked my watch. "Will you look at the time? I have to be off. I have, something important to do." "Won't take long." She popped a fresh Lucky Strike into her lipsticked mouth, flicked the gold-engraved lighter, lit the cigarette, and took a deep,